We're excited by how the game is shaping up, and it's gotten quite big, so we want to take the time to make the game as good as we can. Expect more details from us once we get closer to release. Yeah. Thanks to the resub, Estavo. Better to not be rushed. I agree, but there's also a fine line you have to walk. A fine line you have to walk between development hell and prolonged polish. Development hell. We actually just talked about this with Redfall. When something gets into development hell, it almost always ends up being shitty. I can't think of a game that fully entered development hell and wasn't dog shit. There's none that come to mind. The most notable being, of course, Duke Nukem Forever, Aliens, Colonial Marines, Cyberpunk, and there was one more right off the top of my head. Redfall. Duh. Fucking Redfall. Oh, and Dead Island 2. It's really a death sentence for a lot of games. Development hell ruins them. There's very few times where development hell ends up being okay. Thanks for 10 gift subs again, why not? You've been so generous tonight. Thanks to the bits, Hole Finder and Arrow. TF2 took 9 years? I didn't know that. Holy shit. Was that development hell though, or did they just really spend a lot of time like polishing that game? That's why I said there's a fine line between like a prolonged polishing period and adding to it and development hell. Development hell is something very different where you have things like, we'll use Dead Island 2. Fucking basically firing teams, a ton of movement throughout development, keep pressing things down the line, down the pipeline, and just having a lot of turmoil and restarting and restarting, scrapping, starting, scrapping, that kind of shit. It's very different. Here's the resub scatter. The bits arrow. Doesn't sound like Hollow Knight's in that process though. No, hopefully not. I was just saying, like, I get worried about things like that when it's like 20 delays in a row. It's like, damn, really hope that the behind the scenes isn't fucking trash. VTN Bloodlines 2 was supposed to release 3 years ago, but it keeps getting handed off to different studios. Oof. That is always a death sentence for games. There's a resub tray. Do you believe in Beyond Good and Evil 2? No. I want that game so bad, but I don't know if it's ever actually coming out. Knights of the Old Republic remake is in development hell. Isn't that fully halted? I thought for sure they put the kibosh on that. Didn't they make a whole statement about how it's indefinitely development is indefinitely suspended? There's the bits butter. I didn't know that, butter. That's an interesting history. I think Skull and Bones has been delayed how many times? 4 now? I forgot about that game. That's Ubisoft, right? That's like all they got left. There's the Prime Outcast. LA Noire was in development hell. It took forever to make and killed the company that was making it. I'm genuinely shocked you forgot about that. It was a little bit deeper than that. I forgot about development hell, I'm not going to lie. But I remember when the game came out, What killed the company was more Take Two, right? They got into that big dispute with Take Two, I thought. Let me double check. But yeah, I mean, the studio closed shortly after. That was their final breath. Yeah, Team Bondi. I did not like that game at all, Arrow. Thanks to the Prime Raven. That's cool, Halo. I didn't know that. Hollow Knight was amazing. And I'm optimistic Silksong will be just as good. Just saw they're making another Amnesia. They should just let it rest. Yeah, the last one wasn't very good, huh? Thanks to resub Fanta. That's huge, Kachao. Glad to hear that. Thanks to the Prime demos. Do you think esports is dying? What needs to change to ensure its success? Esports isn't dying. It's just the orgs and their strategy has very clearly not been working, and it's all starting to bubble over all at once. We've talked about this a lot. I won't go into it again. My whole spiel. But yeah, that like endless spending and constant inflation in the industry has popped the bubble. So now all of these orgs are losing so much money, and they're having to close and re-strategize. I mean, wouldn't esports die if there's no orgs to take part? Nope. As long as the developer of the game wants an esports scene, there will always be an esports scene, even with no orgs in there. Players will play for the love of the game. Always have. Look at Smite. Smite's a great example. There's not a single goddamn org in Smite. And their events pop. I'm gonna give sub baseball and the resub Kohaku and the Prime Demon. That is a very interesting fact. I didn't know that, Arrow. Hear the news about Sum 41 disbanding. The real news is that they were still together. I didn't know that. I like Sum 41's old work. I didn't know they were still putting out anything new. So when that came out, I was like, oh wow. I had no idea. Canadians are fucking devastated. They were an incredible band, but their music posts, what was it? Was it Chuck? I think it was Chuck. Or hold on, let me look at their discography real quick. Yeah, it looks like Chuck. Well, even Underclass Hero, their following album, was still a pretty big one. But after that, they just kind of fell out of the public eye. But it looks like they made albums like at least once every 4 years. They never really stopped. I just stopped hearing about them. Exhibits Phantom. Yeah, I've made a couple videos on it, Phantom, on the Moist Charlie Clips channel. You think Halo Infinite will recover to be a great AAA game, or is that ship sailed? Ship sailed. But I do think it can at least become a good game. But I don't think it's ever going to be a big AAA game. It's way too late. If Starfield fails, Xbox is done. Brother, Phil Spencer's like, yeah, our console will never win the console wars. We can't out console Sony or Nintendo. I don't think they're ever gonna like give up on it, but they very much understand they're more of like a novelty kind of console now, not something serious in the gaming space. Which is a real shame. You hate to see that. They still make money off Game Pass in the PC space. Yeah, Game Pass is still successful. Game Pass is an absolutely amazing service, but the Xbox as a console is just fucking worthless. I'm not exaggerating. I got the Xbox on launch week, and I've turned it on one time to play the Medium, which was such a fucking stinker. Almost fell asleep on stream, and I haven't turned it on since. There is no reason to play on Xbox. There's nothing there. Thanks, resub GG. We play more Darkest Dungeon 2? Yeah, we're gonna play more of that tonight. That's why the title's The Misery Continues. But then there's like so many stories that I wanted to go over. Thanks, resub Polybridge. And the 5 gift subs, Johnny. Thank you, Johnny. And the 5 gift subs, Baseball. Appreciate that. Will you moist meter Darkest Dungeon 2? I might. We'll see how long it takes me to finally finish all the acts. I'm fucking struggling. The game is hard. Thanks, resub TG.